Thanks very much to everyone up here. I think there have been certain themes running through the different presentations. The recognition that Russia and EU are sort of the European Union is really the key economic partner for Russia when it comes to trade and investments and all of the potential for the future. The drive towards complete the agreement or the negotiations for the new agreement to replace the old one. I remember I was present when that was signed. I think it was 16 years ago. So things have moved on since then. But of course that agreement cannot be completed without the WTO issue being completed. The WTO thing is then fundamental both for the modernization point of view internally in Russia and for the new agreement with the European Union, with all of the importance that that has. That is, of course, something that has to be decided by Russia itself. There's been a lot of emphasis on cooperation in different high-tech areas, as well as energy, notably energy efficiency has been mentioned by several. Of course, the potential in that is vast. And then there has been mentioned, which I think is highly appropriate, because that is the thing that is always brought up with me from different, be they Swedish or be that other European businessmen operating in Russia, and that is the fundamental importance of the rule of the law. If there is not the rule of the law, then investments will not happen. If there is confidence in the rule of the law, investments will happen. And we are all aware that this is an area where there is, to put it in those terms, room for improvement in Russia today. We now have some time left. I have a speaking list of a number of speakers, I think 7 of them to be precise, who wants to put some questions and make some remarks. And at the end of that, we give the opportunity for the panelists to come back shortly and answer the different questions. And I start with Mr. Jürgen Thümann of Business Europe.
Thank you very much, Chairman, for giving me the opportunity to say a few words. I am very pleased to be here as President of Business Europe, the European business organization which represents more than 20 million companies, companies of all sizes and sectors of activity, and altogether we employ more than 150 million employees. 2 weeks ago, during the EU-Russia summit in Rostov, European Council President Herman van Rompuy said, quote, "With Russia, Europe does not need a reset, but a fast forward," quote. And this, I believe, is very true. European business would welcome a fast forward. And I may repeat and re-emphasize what I said already on Russia's WTO accession negotiations and on the negotiations on a new EU-Russia agreement. Both are important tools to enhance bilateral trade and also investment opportunities. And I would like here to add investment opportunities in both directions. We also invite and welcome Russian investments in our European countries. But in going forward, our leaders must resolve some difficult issues. Some of them we have heard already. I would like to add to this, like Russia's increased import duties, which cost EU companies at the moment around 600 million euros per year. And we would also welcome, and I may repeat this again and re-emphasize, more time to prepare for the upcoming customs union. For example, as it was said, through a transitional period for the implementation of new regulations. With regard to a modernized EU-Russia partnership, I believe that we should focus on boosting economic cooperation, also through very practical projects involving business, for example, in the energy efficiency projects and infrastructure. Europe has the finance, the technology, and know-how to help Russia build a stronger manufacturing industry. Russia has a highly skilled workforce and a specialization in the energy sector and energy-intensive manufacturing sector. With improvements to its current legislation on foreign investments, IPR, and manufacturing standards, Russia could attract a wealth of new investment. If we move forward on these points, I'm totally convinced that EU-Russia relations will prosper. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. And we move on to Mr. Sakar Shmushkin. 1 minute.
Thank you, Chairman.
Inside the EU-Russia dialogue, we have given a lot of attention to various issues, and this sort of interaction is vital because we have lots of points of common interest, starting from the use of natural resources, because in Russia they are federal property, and in a number of European countries they can be privatized. Environmental regulations, etc. These are the issues in which we can work together, because certain areas of Russian law need to be improved, others need to be simplified. Some of it is more complicated than in Europe, and vice versa. And all these ideas are contained in the protocols that were signed jointly. Today, let me also point to another important element. The new regulations and the new relationships will certainly be formalized at some level, and we, as the business part of this dialogue, need to see to it that the major thrust will be to simplify regulation. Simplification of regulation is the new thing, and that should embrace the transfer of investments, the movement of investors, adaptation of investments, because this is the vital interest of investments, and therefore it paves the way towards new relationships. Therefore, simplified and more efficient mechanism should be involved. Thank you.
Thank you. When I give the floor now to Mr. Rainer Hartmann, could I ask you to, because I understand that when people are in the back, they don't see you when you sit down. If you could stand up, and there's another microphone that you can speak in, I think that would make things easier. And so to say, 1 minute.
Okay. Does it work? Yes, thank you very much. 1 minute. In 1 minute, one can say a lot and nothing. But I would like to take this opportunity. Two things I did not like in this discussion. One thing is that we should help Russia modernizing. No. We should benefit. We should look for opportunities. We means industry. We means the investors. And I represent a company, it's called E.ON. And I share what you said, Mr. Tula, what Mr. Chubais has created to privatize a monolithic monster. And this has moved to modernization. And the results are not utopia, the results are real. When we do not help, but we look for opportunities, and I agree that we find enormous opportunities, what Mr. Thumann said, we should use them and not invent a new wheel and start with new bureaucratic exercises, but identify projects, and investors will very fast find out where we could benefit and where we could make profit. Thank you.
Thank you. Short and clear. Then Mr. Sergei Burev from Sistema.
I will try to be brief. Just a few words, no more. One of the important elements of success of our new initiative, and I mean modernization, should be embodied in new projects. And the project forum that we held in the run-up to the Rostov-on-Don summit, it showed very clearly that we can start from the base of projects in order to expand and increase mutual trust between Russia and European Union. And I mean specific projects, which we have discussed at the project forum at Novocherkassk, i.e. synchronization of the European system and GLONASS, new forms of government/private cooperation in infrastructure and transit projects, and a number of other projects that I think are extremely realistic, particularly for the ad hoc group, for the task force that is being put together as part of this roundtable. It would be a good idea to create a list of such projects and start monitoring how those projects are evolving in order to move ahead and in order to explore further opportunities for further cooperation between our respective parts of the world.
Thanks very much. And now Mr. Chris Gibson-Smith from the London Stock Exchange.
Thank you. 1 minute. I think we witness a fundamental change in the balance of strength and power between the two sides of this dialogue since last year. And that change is induced by the increased weakness of the EU coming about through the sovereign debt crisis. I think that rebasing of the balance is an excellent thing for the future of the relationship, and it has already changed the tone of the conversation between the two sides. We need each other deeply. We cannot have a modern society without ubiquitous cheap energy, ubiquitous cheap capital, and continuous progress on our social and economic and political systems. We each of us have entirely complementary gifts on all three of those dimensions. We should start sharing those gifts and helping each other forward. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And Mr. Michael Harms from the Russia-German Chamber of External Trade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fully support of the statement of Mr. Hartmann. We should not only benefit, we are already benefiting a lot from our cooperation. I think that the picture is much brighter, looking from the locally engaged German business here in Russia. We are now witnessing what I would call a third wave of engagement here of also SME companies and family-owned business in Russia. I think we need 3 Ps from the politicians' support. First is predictability, and I'm very grateful to the Ministry of Economy and personally to Mr. Slepnov for the very consistent and clear policy towards improvement of business climate. Predictability. The second P is priorities, and here we face the challenge to transfer the more strategic goals into very concrete and pragmatic projects on the ground. This is the second P, and the third P is, I think, preferences, especially in new and high-tech markets. And I think Skolkovo was a very good example. We need preferences for the business. I think together with politics, we should create new markets for our future cooperation. Thank you very much.